This is Niko, the best rifler in Counter-Strike history. For over a decade, he has had the crispiest, most mechanical aim in the game. And this is me, a 32-year-old face-it level 10 who is officially too old to go pro, but is too stubborn to quit trying. And after trying out Niko's routine randomly one evening, I hit this clip.
Hey, main thing.
I'm rotating loudly.
Dead.
Only
That's
one.
him. Two.
Oh, one more. One more.
Nice. I'm coming. Both. Big box. Big box still. Nice.
Oh my God.
So, for the next 7 days, I'm going to be copying Niko's exact training routine to answer one question. Can an average Joe like me actually aim like Niko, or is he just built different? Now, for this challenge, I'm not changing my settings like Niko does every week, but I will be following some set rules. First of all, I can only follow his holy trinity of training: 500 to 1000 aimbots kills, headshot only deathmatch, and pre-fire drills. Second, I'm going to only train for 1 hour a day. This doesn't mean I have to do it all within 1 hour, but I will set a timer and pause if I need to. And then outside of that hour, I'll just be playing the game, whether it's pugs or team prac and matches. Third, I will set myself a specific goal before starting, so whether that's tapping or bursting only, so I don't just autopilot in the session. And finally, I will be only using the servers from today's sponsor, xplay.gg. xplay.gg are the official partners of the Star Ladder Major and the #1 CS2 server network in Europe. If you are trying to climb the ranks like me, you can't just rely on Valve's default servers. Xplay has over 28 server regions worldwide, meaning you can actually get good ping practice. They have 16 different game modes, from classic deathmatch and retakes to surfing and 1v1 duels. And the best part, you can literally create your own custom server in just 3 clicks to practice however you want. But here is why I use them: the challenge system. While you play, you complete daily challenges to earn coins. You can then take those coins to their store and exchange them for real skins. Plus, they have a free skin changer on all servers, so you can play with your dream loadout while you grind. So, click the link in the description, join the Star Ladder Major partners, and start your grind to pro today. Day 1 was a strange and quite humbling experience. I set myself the goal of bursting only in my gunfights, put the bots into a 90-degree angle, and started the training. I kept reminding myself slow is smooth and smooth is fast, as I tried to rush my shots and missed my flicks. I had to force myself to slow down and build that muscle memory correctly. But here is the problem. For the last 8 months, my aimbot's warm-up has only been 100 kills. So the first 100 felt great, the next 900 were a nightmare. By kill 700, my focus was drifting, my arm was tired, and I realised this was going to be tougher than I thought. After the 1000 kills, we moved across to the headshot only deathmatch. And this is where my ego got crushed. Yeah, panic spraying. Jesus, I need to be tapping. I'm just spraying. I need to shoot, need to tap. I realized I have a massive addiction to panic spraying. In a normal game, if I miss the first shot, I just crouch and spray. In headshot only, that crutch is gone. You either hit the head or you die. And I died. A lot. And I finished day 1 with the pre-fire drills. I'm using Refrag here, but these workshop maps should do the trick, and I'll put a link in the description. Pre-fire drills is something I already do as part of my training, so this wasn't massively different or novel to me. But while watching my replay, I noticed I was making a huge mistake when compared to Niko. I bounce peek, I jiggle the angle for info, then I swing and fight with the full knowledge. Look at Niko, he doesn't jiggle for info, peeks with purpose and peeks to kill. This is a huge problem and a really bad habit I need to train myself out of. With day 1 of the routine done, my aim felt crisp, but my arm was fried. So I decided to test the new mechanics in a Valve competitive game before risking my face-it elo. Okay. Day 2 and the fatigue in my arm is real. My flicks are getting faster. Yesterday, 1000 kills felt like a marathon. Today, I found a rhythm. I stuck to the bursting rule and I could feel my crosshair snapping to heads with way more authority than before. But entering the headshot deathmatch, I hit a wall. My aim felt better, but my brain still feels broken. I still have the issue of fighting the urge to panic spray every time I see an enemy. Like my hand wants to spray, but the Niko routine demands precision. The Prefire drills, however, felt incredible, and I was confident clearing angles like a pro. So I jumped into some Faceit games to test the progress. And the good news, my headshot percentage was through the roof. When I hit shots, they felt crisp. The bad news, I started the game incredibly slow. I missed easy kills in the first 5 rounds because I was overthinking my aim. I realized that training like Niko is useless if it takes me 10 rounds to actually wake up. And if day 2 felt like progress, day 3 was a massive slap in the face. I switched my goal from bursting to tapping, and immediately this change exposed a massive flaw in my mechanics that I didn't even know I had. I don't actually aim with my first bullet. In aimbots, I had to slow down massively because I pulled the trigger before I was actually on the target. And then in headshot DM, I missed the initial shot over and over again. I'd miss the first tap, panic, and then stop spamming the shots. And this highlighted an even bigger issue. I'm not reacting to the enemy. I'm predicting them. I'm shooting where I think they will go rather than tracking where they actually are. Niko doesn't do this. He doesn't guess. He tracks the enemy, and this challenge is forcing me to unlearn years of bad muscle memory. The only thing saving my sanity right now is the pre-fire drills. For some reason, when I'm able to isolate the angles, when I have confidence on the map, my micro adjustments feel locked in. I just need to figure out how to bring that confidence into an actual gunfight without panicking. Day 4 was the first time I actually felt like a threat and won 3 Faceit pugs in a row, and the confidence was surging. In aimbots, I breezed through 1,000 kills without even thinking about it, but the biggest win, the bounce peak, was dying. I felt myself trusting my counter-strafing, swinging angles with authority, and actually hitting the shots. But as soon as I hopped into deathmatch, I discovered a new enemy: tension management. In aimbots, I was relaxed, but against real players, I realized I was subconsciously tensing my body in every fight. I was so focused on hitting the headshot that my hand and arm would lock up. Okay, so yeah, I'm tensing up a lot when I'm actually getting into it. Okay, I can feel my hand tensing up there. My tracking was good, but my initial flicks were sloppy because my body was as stiff as a board. So during my deathmatch session, I focused on this, and I took that focus into my pre-fire and made sure that I wasn't panicking as an enemy appeared. And this led to 3 Faceit wins and my highest elo peak on Faceit to date. But despite those wins, I still felt there was major room for improvement. By day 5, I felt like my body had finally adapted to the grind. The 1,000 aimbots kills wasn't tiring me out anymore, but something weird did happen in the warm-up. I set myself the daily goal of bursting, but I kept wanting to tap fire. And why? Because my first bullet accuracy, the thing that destroyed me on day 3, felt better. I was locking onto heads faster, and that made me feel my burst was unnecessary. It felt like my raw mechanical aim was officially leveling up. But then, in an instant, everything fell off kilter. In the headshot deathmatch, I was completely crumbling. My raw aim was good, but my crosshair placement was non-existent. And this was because I was so confident in my new flicking ability and my tracking, I got lazy with where I was looking. I stopped clearing angles properly and started relying on panic flicks to save me. It felt sloppy, unconfident, and the panic sprays came rushing back. And I walked away from my deathmatch session feeling uneasy, but thankfully, the pre-fire drills woke me up a little bit. They forced me to stop being lazy and actually slice the pie. And this set on my nerves a little bit just in time for our UKIC playoffs match. But something I want to know was if this shaky session was going to cost my team the game. And despite some confident fights and some good kills, I didn't perform as I should have, and our team felt the pressure and crumbled at the hurdle. Day 6 was a pure training day. No matches, just focus on the training. The goal was tapping and focusing on that first bullet accuracy. And the progress here was drastic compared to day 1. When I got into aimbots, I continued to follow the slow is smooth and smooth is fast, and it's finally paying off. I still struggled with tension management, but this was far more common in the second half of the aimbots kills, so the 500 to 1,000. When I jumped into headshot deathmatch, I felt crisp, but as I continued with the deathmatch, I realized something huge about this challenge. What I'm doing isn't a warm-up. This is a training drill. And I've been thinking about this all wrong. The routine is taking up too much energy before my games. I'm comparing a gym workout to a light stretch. And this was more evident in the Prefire. I started really strong, my flicks were dead on, but as the session went on, this adjusted. My flicks were missing, and my micro corrections were much more important. However, I came out of day 6 with high confidence. And the final day, day 7, is the big lead up to the ESEA playoffs match. And if we win, we have a chance of making intermediate, a massive goal for me. So the pressure was on. For the aimbots, again, I started slow as smooth, and by the end, I was smooth and fast. But something again I picked up that I wasn't picking up on other days is my shoulder tension. I was noticing as the session went on, my shoulder was slowly rising. It was hiking up, and it's a bad habit, and I need to find a fix for this. But that's a problem for another time. So what I would do is just make sure I reset my shoulder. And I took this into the headshot deathmatch, and I started really strong. On day 3, we identified that I was predicting, not reacting. But day 7, I was reacting, not predicting. And this was a massive win. My flicks were great. My micro-actions were strong. And it felt like this whole week has been a massive success. The Prefire, again, I was crisp, clean locks. I felt unstoppable, and I felt strong going into my Face-It Pugs. And the Face-It Pugs were okay. I lost 2, I won 1, but my headshots were a lot crisper and my aim felt a lot better. Was it worth it? Yes, 100% yes. My headshot percentage increased, and that is a part of my game that I really struggle with. I always go into panic sprays, and having more headshots in my game will help me net more kills. Also, despite the ELO reset on Face-It, I reached my new peak ELO, which just shows it's working. The second point is, would I continue doing this? And no, I wouldn't, not as I'm currently using it. I'm stupidly using it as a warm-up when it's meant to be training. You want your warm-up to be about 15 minutes long. So instead of doing this training, I'm just going to shorten it. And that is going to be a routine that I take going forward. And what I learned from this is don't practice without a goal. Of course, with the warm-up, you're trying to warm up all parts. Whereas for practice and for training, you should focus on a specific goal. The second thing is focusing on headshots in unfavorable situations can actually net you more kills, maybe even multi-kills, and win you those gunfights. And the third thing is keep at it. Keep consistent. Discipline and dedication beats motivation every day. Don't wait for the motivation to jump on and do 1,000 aimbots kills or deathmatch. Set a routine and do it 5 times a week. That is the optimum. And what's next? Well, let me know in the comments if you want me to follow another pro routine. I know some of you have talked about the Blame F routine, which is quite insane. So maybe if I have the time, that is something to give a try. And who knows, maybe one day I'll get the confidence to DM a pro and get a full week's routine. And Mezzy, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are, drop me a DM. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like, subscribe, and make sure you check out XPlay's servers. There's a link in the description, and Metastack for any strats or lineups you may need. And I'll see you next week. YouTube thinks you'll like this video. Peace.